What's up, everybody? Welcome to SLC Puck. I'm your host, Austin Facer, and don't be alarmed. Don't be scared. I know it looks like I'm a little bloodied and bashed right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know what I mean. If you're listening to this in Apple or Spotify, you don't. I would encourage you to slide over to YouTube to check this out. I'm not bloodied. I'm not injured. It's catch-up. Okay, but I did want to recreate the look that I've been seeing for the Utah Hockey Club on the ice. We've been seeing a lot of bloody clubbers lately against the Blues. I believe Liam O'Brien had a cut on his forehead that he got in a fight with Tyler Tucker. That was pretty cool. What happened before that was pretty funny. I think I talked about that on the previous episode. But in the last game against the Jets, a big 5-2 win for the Utah Hockey Club, Clayton Keller took a shot to the eye, a shot by his buddy Michael Kesselring. And let me tell you, those Michael Kesselring shots, it's not like you're getting hit by a snowball. That guy can shoot the puck over 100 miles an hour. Keller takes a shot to the face, but comes back in the game, almost gets credited with a goal, ends up with an empty netter. So much good stuff, a lot of fun. And we're going to talk more Keller in just a minute. And we'll talk about a few other things too. I said my name's Austin Facer, right? I introduced myself. There you go. You get it, right? But well, welcome into SLC Puck, episode 76. We're recording this on the evening of January 22nd. I bet you'll probably be listening to this on January 23rd. And funny story, this is the second time recording this episode. I did almost the entire episode. I did probably a good 20 minutes, and it was a nice 20 minutes as well. And then realized I hadn't hit the record button yet, so I was essentially just talking into the ether. I was all that genius that came out of my head and into the microphone has been lost to the annals of time forever. But it just means this episode is going to be that much better, right? And you know what? There's nothing really better than stepping out in some SLC Puck merch, right? And we've got it for you right here at slcpuck.shop. Lots of good stuff. I want to highlight this. This is a cool little new addition to the shop. I've teased it for a little bit. It's here now. It's the Little Puckers t-shirt right there. We're starting them young. We're getting them hooked on SLC Puck as young as we can. Sizes from extra small to extra large in kid sizes. You'll have to check the size chart out on that, see if your little guy or girl can fit into those. But regardless, there's still a lot of good stuff for the grown-ups too. Some hoodies, some shirts, some beanies. A Yeti shirt. I picked Yeti for a reason. Maybe I didn't trademark that. Dang it. It ended up being a bad call. I'll talk about that more in just a second. But lots of good stuff here. And otherwise, if you want to support the show, and I do appreciate your guys' support, you can do so by liking, commenting, subscribing. That's all very big. I'm going to have a really big announcement for you guys soon. So I'm going to need a lot of support. So whatever you can provide, I am happy to take. And what I'm really, really happy with, guys, and I'm really pleased with all of you guys for your participation in the show. Last episode, going into Monday's game against the Winnipeg Jets, I asked you guys to do me a solid and to do a favor for the team. I asked you guys to summon all the good energy you could put out into the world, all of the supernatural, sort of cosmic, sort of make magic happen sort of stuff. And I invited you to participate in a pagan ritual of your choice. We don't discriminate here at SLC Puck. You can do whatever you need to do to make the universe bend our way in the hockey world. And you guys did a fantastic job. I wonder what it is you guys did. In fact, you guys are more than welcome to tell me what your pregame ritual is for the Utah Hockey Club. And I think that's a great thing to call into the SLC Puck hotline. Let me know. Give your hot takes, your chirps, your props. Talk about your ritual behaviors, all that good stuff. Within reason, of course. Keep it appropriate. That number you can call in is 919-666-PUCK-PUCK. That's 7825. Go ahead and call in. You can call in about anything, really. And if it's something I like, I will address it on the show. But again, credit to you guys and credit to the Utah Hockey Club. Played a terrific game. I covered the game for KSL.com. I had the pleasure of sitting next to my buddy Ryan Miller at the Delta Center. And I leaned over and said this to Ryan multiple times throughout the evening. I'm like, dude, this is the easiest game story in the history of game stories. You're going to, like, it's writing itself on the ice, and it really did. And if you saw the game, you know what I mean by that. There were like so many like fascinating things and storylines in the game that happened, that came to fruition. I mentioned Clayton Keller getting a shot to the face and then returning to the ice, having a great game. In the locker room afterwards, he was still bleeding quite a bit from his face, and it was like, dang, this guy's a tough guy. You know, us media members, we asked Coach Andre Turney about that, and he simply said, that's a hockey player for you. And I mean, I wonder what it was like for Clayton Keller the next day. Like, I wonder like what it felt like to wake up. I'm sure it hurt a lot. I bet it was maybe awkward to go out and like get coffee, you know, and like order his coffee with like a huge thing over his eye. The life of a hockey player has got to be very interesting, and interesting was this game. It was so cool to see the Utah Hockey Club play well. And one of the storylines coming into this is they were facing a guy who is going to have a place in NHL history. It's very rare for a goaltender to win the Hart Trophy as the National Hockey League's most valuable player. But if voting were to happen today, if we were to determine the winner at this moment, it would be Winnipeg goaltender. That's a tongue twister. Connor Hellebuck. He has been lights out this season. He was anything but great against Utah. Utah actually kind of made him look silly, and so that made the story that I wrote pretty easy to write. And I'll just read a little bit here for you guys. KSL.com. Lots of great Utah hockey coverage there. But the temperature inside the Delta Center Monday night was below freezing. It was quite cold. Inside, where the 200 by 85 foot sheet of ice was laid, wasn't much warmer. The Utah Hockey Club's offense, however, was red hot, and it really was. With 4 goals against Hellebuck, he's been a brick wall, but he looked more like a picket fence, we'll say, or a chain link fence, maybe. Although it'd still be kind of hard to get a puck through that, but you get the metaphor. Utah played really, really well against Hellebuck. I asked Andre Turney what the strategy was. They're like, we got to get through the defense first. I asked I asked Josh Doan about it. He's like, we just did a good job getting bodies in front of the net, and there was a lot of great puck movement, and all those things were absolutely true. The clubbers played lights out. You could argue, considering the competition they faced in this one, Hellebuck, that this might have been the best offensive performance of the year. And some of the goals were just downright beautiful. Matias Michelli scored he finished an incredible play. That was a lot of ticky-tack passing from Barrett Hayton to Doan. Michelli had a wide open net and just whipped that baby right in there. That made it 4-0. Clayton Keller scored an empty netter, so that doesn't count as a goal against Hellebuck. But the goal of the night, and it was kind of easy to miss if you were to see it in real time. I mean, it still looked great. It was still a great-looking goal in real time. But you watch the replay, you watch this angle, and you go, holy cow, this was unbelievable. I'm talking about Logan Cooley's goal right here. So, again, he scored on a 2-on-1. He's coming down facing a Winnipeg defender and Hellebuck with Nick Schmaltz on his side here. And you watch this, and I remember watching this and thinking, okay, he does some sort of like head fake to Schmaltz, right? That's what kind of freezes everybody. But if you look at it here, and I should show this on my screen, this is him looking directly at Nick Schmaltz, right, while he's coming down the ice. He doesn't take his eyes off of Schmaltz at a single point during this play. And watch this. Just shoots it. Boom. Woo! Top cheddar, top right on Connor Hellebuck. Unbelievable goal by Logan Cooley. That guy is so talented, and he's so young. He's the youngest player on the team, 20 years old. This was a goal scorer's goal. Just absolutely froze Hellebuck as if he were outside, as if he had been outside the Delta Center and been that frozen. That's how unable he was to stop this puck. Great play and a great game overall for the Utah Hockey Club. So again, hats off to you guys for what you did to make that happen. And I got to tell you, I think it's going to make Friday's rematch against Winnipeg that much tougher. After the game on Monday, Winnipeg's coach, whose name is escaping me right now, spoke to the media and said this was our most embarrassing game of the year. He called it something that is an expletive that I cannot say on KSL.com, but it's gonna again. I think they're gonna really get up for the game against Utah. I think you'll see like a lot of physicality. I think you'll see a very motivated Hellebuck. Not that he'll do anything physical, but maybe, right? That happens from time to time. But I think that's going to be one that Utah's going to have to really, really expect a heavy punch early and respond accordingly too. So I think Friday's game is going to be a really, really tough one for the Utah Hockey Club. And before that, they play Minnesota. They play Minnesota on Thursday, and that's going to be a tough one too. But I feel buoyed, I guess you could say. I feel positive going into this one because I think Clayton Keller has an important role to play in this game. And I'll get more into those two games here in just a second. But just to reiterate, and this is something we'll talk about probably on every episode going forward, these games are getting increasingly important, especially as the playoff race heats up, right? So let's look at the standings here. Just as a refresher, 2 conferences in the NHL, 2 divisions in each conference. The top 3 teams in each division are in, and then there's 2 wild card teams after that, right? So right now, Utah's in the hunt for the wild card spot. Those 2 positions are being held right now by the Avalanche and the Flames. The Avalanche have 51 points, so they've got a 6-point cushion on Calgary, who has the last wild card spot with 51 points. Below them, the Canucks with 50, Blues with 50, and then one below them is the Utah Hockey Club with 47 points. So it was really crucial for Utah to get the 2 wins against St. Louis on Saturday and then Winnipeg on Monday. Had they not gotten those 4 points, 2 points in each game, they would be stuck at 43 points. That would have put them behind the Seattle Kraken, and most people consider their season to be over already. So you could argue, had they not won those 2 games, they might have definitely solidified their place out of the race. They're still in it now, and being that they're only 4 points away from Calgary, they're still very much in the hunt. That's a 2-game swing there. Anything can happen in this league. We see a lot of crazy stuff happen from night to night. But again, these 2 games were super duper important, and the next 2 are very important as well, starting with Thursday's game against the Minnesota Wild. And I got to tell you, if I'm the Minnesota Wild and I'm looking at the schedule and I see Utah's coming to town on Thursday, I am terrified of the guy with a cut above his eye. Clayton Keller is going to have it out for Minnesota. He's had it out for Minnesota for a while now. It's really Minnesota's fault in a way that Clayton Keller has been on such a tear lately. Like, he's been unreal. In the last 20 games, he has 9 goals, 19 assists for a total of 28 points. That's well over a point per game average. That's superstar level statistics right there. And the 20-game moniker might seem like an interesting sort of marker in time. The reason why that time is significant is because it's the frame of time that's taken place since the roster for the Four Nations Cup was announced, namely Team USA's, in which Clayton Keller was kept off the list. And I bet that hurt. The kid from Chesterfield, I almost said Minnesota. Missouri, excuse me, Chesterfield, Missouri. I keep forgetting the name of that state. It's where the Chiefs play. It's where Taylor Swift goes all the time to watch Travis Kelce play football. Missouri. I think he feels like a little jaded, a little like slighted that he didn't make Team USA's roster. And when I say it's Minnesota's fault, this is what I mean. Minnesota is general managed. Their general manager is Bill Guerin. You might remember him from his playing days. He played in the early 2000s for a few different teams. Bill Guerin is significant in this because he is also the general manager of Team USA. It was his call to keep Clayton Keller off the roster for the Four Nations Cup. And that's bad news for Bill Guerin because he's going to face Clayton Keller on Thursday. And Keller, who already has a cut on his eye and a chip on his shoulder, is going to be pretty juiced up for this one. And the reason why I know that is because he already faced Minnesota in that 20-game span and had a great game. I talked about it after that game. That was on December 10th. He scored 2 goals in a shootout loss for the Utah Hockey Club. But there's just something I was talking about it with Tyson Nash. You can tell Clayton Keller is very motivated. He feels very unhappy. Let's just put it that way. He feels he feels like an extra added layer of motivation to prove himself, to prove Bill Guerin wrong. And he's going to try to do it in Minnesota's building. And so I'll say this, if you're a fan of daily fantasy sports, right? Like those ridiculous things where you can make like a 12, event parlay and turn your $5 into $5 million, which is never going to work, by the way. I would say this, you can put one of those legs as Clayton Keller scoring a goal or so, because I think that's something you can feel very confident with. I think Keller's going to be really, really revved up for this one. And it's a huge game for Utah. They've had a little rest between Monday and Thursday's game. I expect them to come out swinging against Minnesota. I think that's a really, really, really important game for them as well. Division opponent, so that'll help them in the standings doubly. So, and the game on Friday, I think is going to be a tough one though, because I think they'll be really emotional on Thursday, and then they'll have to turn around and get on a flight real quick, have a short, rest in a Winnipeg hotel, maybe a nap in the afternoon, and get ready to play the Jets the next day. And they'll be very motivated to play Utah. So it's going to be a really interesting stretch over the next couple games. And again, these games continue to be very, very important for the Clubbers. And that's what we're going to call them this season. The Clubbers. Because they're the Utah Hockey Club. Because they don't have a name. And we decided that the Utah Hockey Club, we didn't decide. It was decided by the organization that the Utah Hockey Club is going to be the temporary name for the team this year. All the while, there's going to be a fan vote. There's going to be putting together like a name, a permanent identity, all that stuff. But apparently there has been some legal issues going into this. And I'm referring to some reporting that my guy Ryan did for KSL.com. Ryan Miller, he's an excellent reporter. He's covering the Jazz and the Utah Hockey Club this year, and sometimes doing them simultaneously, like literally at the same time, which is pretty wild. So Ryan's doing a great job, and I hope everybody follows and supports his work. But let's just read a little bit about this story here, because this is probably the story of the week for the Utah Hockey Club. It would be irresponsible for me to not bring this up here. And I want you guys to keep in mind, like, I don't know what the name is. I don't think anyone knows. I think there's been a lot of speculation. I think there's a lot of guessing we've all made. Everybody's made a guess, right? Keller himself, before he got hit in the face a few months ago, he said he thought the name was going to be Yeti. That's something GMBA, General Manager Bill Armstrong, has said as well in multiple media appearances, right? So that is as well has been my guess, right? Is that the team name is going to be the Utah Yeti, or maybe a different version, Yetis, right? But according to Ryan's reporting, and I'm telling you this, Ryan's reporting is really good, there's been some snags here, right? So looking at this article on KSL.com, Utah Hockey Club facing trademark hurdles in finding permanent name. Okay, let's read this a little bit here. I'm happy to do the reading so you guys don't have to. The Utah Hockey Club is having issues getting the trademark for its preferred permanent name. It's no secret that Yetis, or Yeti, has long been the favorite to replace the team's temporary hockey club moniker, with everyone from management and players hinting at it as early as last summer. But there could be a snag, namely Yeti is already a pretty big brand. Earlier this month, the trademark for Utah Yetis was refused by the United States Patent and Trademark Office due to a likelihood of confusion. And apparently this has to do with their trademark application. They submitted an application for Yetis, which I thought was interesting because remember in the voting, it was the name was Yeti singular, but it looks like they tried to work around with that by throwing an S on there, Utah Yetis. Still, the trademark office did not like that, rejected it due to what they're calling, again, a likelihood of confusion. They're saying the trademark application for use in connection with merchandise, right? Clothing, shirts, pajamas, underwear. How excited are you guys to get Utah Yeti's underwear? All this stuff, right? This is back to Ryan's writing. The problem, Yeti, the cooler brand, already has numerous trademarks in standard and stylized fonts for just about all those things. As for adding Utah to the name, the trademark office said that wasn't enough of a differentiating factor. So again, they tried throwing S on the end, Yetis, and apparently that didn't fly either with the trademark office. So what now, Ryan writes? The team has 3 months from January 9th to respond with further evidence and arguments to support its claim for the new trademark. It will also have to fix some bookkeeping things. I'm not sure what that is. But there's still hope for those who want to cheer on the Yeti or Yetis. Hey, the Detroit Red Wings and the Red Wings Shoe Company have similar names and even pretty similar logos after all. And the team at least should be prepared to make its case. Again, I'm still reading Ryan's writing here. In September, Utah Hockey Club president Chris Armstrong said that while the team knew the name the fans wanted, it was a complicated process from a legal, trademarking, and intellectual property perspective. We're in that process now of determining what is achievable in that realm. But in the end, what if the Yeti name isn't achievable, Ryan writes. Here's a look at the applications for the other announced finalists. Remember, there were I think they narrowed it down to about 6, right? Utah Blizzard and Utah Venom. Those trademark applications were also refused due to similar issues. Utah Hockey Club was refused due to the apply. This is what it says on Ryan's reporting. The applied for mark is primarily geographically descriptive of the origin of applicants' goods and or services. In simpler terms, you can't just trademark Utah, but there's a workaround here. Ryan says the team filed the name under a certain application back in the spring of 2024. If the team files an amendment to show it's using the name, which it can pretty easily, as Ryan writes, then it can amend the application to the supplemental register. That should clear up. Okay, so the Utah Hockey Club is still in play. Another name, Utah Mammoth. There were no conflicting marks found there, but some bookkeeping will need to be cleared up on the application. Blah, 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 blah. Final action November 5th. So that response deadline is in a couple weeks. If that deadline passes without a response, the application will be abandoned, but I wonder if they could just refile it. I don't know. I don't know how all this works. I'm just reading some reporting here. Utah Outlaws. The Utah Outlaws application also doesn't have issues apart from some clerical things. The final non-action was sent on January 9th, though, so a little more waiting to see what happens with this one. That's Ryan Miller's reporting on KSL.com. Really interesting situation playing out. Again, I think it's pretty clear that the preferred name is Yeti. And just so it's very clear, guys, and I have to do this, all right? I just have to do this for the role that I'm in. I have to throw on the tinfoil hat to make it clear to you people that I am giving my opinion on this. If you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify, you're missing the benefit of the visual. I'm wearing a tinfoil hat right now to help articulate the fact that I am spouting my editorial, my opinion. I think what's going to happen is going to be pretty freaking interesting. And I think there's a couple things that play into this, right? For one, the team has made it really clear they like the colors they have now. Mountain blue, rock black, salt white. They're going to roll with those colors into the permanent identity. We've seen that reported a few times. Will they add another color? I don't know. I've thought that they maybe should add purple into the mix. The problem, and the colors look great, by the way. I love my Utah Hockey Club jersey that's in black. I think it looks great with the mountain blue and white. The problem is, if the Yeti name is unavailable, I think the next best choice is probably Outlaws. And I've been a fan of Outlaws the whole time, right? I've said I think it's the best choice. However, I don't think it works that well with that color scheme. So they would either need to switch it up a little bit, add another color, probably not purple, maybe like a red or something, or an orange to make the Outlaws branding pop a little bit better, I would say, with that name. But what I think other people have saying, if they're keeping the colors the same way and Yeti is unavailable, that Mammoth is a good option, and I agree. I think if you're keeping the colors, I can live with Mammoth. I think that's not bad. Venom has no chance. We're not even going to talk about it. I think it's ridiculous it was even a finalist. Blizzard, I really, really, really don't want Blizzard at all. I think it's too similar to Avalanche, and the fact that we're so geographically close, and if we're going to call them our rival, I don't think we can have a name that similar to Avalanche, so I really don't want Blizzard. I think and again, the tinfoil's on here, folks. The tinfoil is very firmly on my head. I think there's a chance the team could remain the Utah Hockey Club next season. I think that's definitely something that's still in play. And I think that's something that, maybe the people who have already spent money on merchandise would be okay with or not, right? I've said this, that I think a lot of the people who are buying jerseys and t-shirts and hats this year are doing so with the understanding that they would have to buy new stuff next year when the permanent name gets announced. It's just, I just think this is becoming a very, very tricky situation. I think that Yeti is the preferred name. I think the writing's kind of on the wall there. How they're going to deliver it at this point, I think, is going to be quite interesting, because I can't imagine they would want to sell merchandise that they can't trademark, and they can't put the TM on to protect their intellectual property. So we're gonna stay following this one. Ryan Miller on KSL.com is doing a really, really solid job reporting this. So make sure you keep following him and his work, again, at KSL.com. But again, my feeling, there's just something in me that says that I think that it's very possible the team could skate as the Utah Hockey Club again next year. So very, very interesting. Would love to get your guys' takes on this. I know everybody's got an opinion, right? This has been such a hot topic of conversation here in Utah. You guys, we can do the conversation here on the SLC Puck hotline, all that good stuff. But hey, regardless what the team name is, we're having fun, right? This is a good time. It's been an incredible first season for the Utah Hockey Club. I really think the win against Winnipeg was the best one of the year. So congrats to everybody on their pagan rituals for getting that done. Remember, games against Minnesota and Winnipeg again this week. But we'll talk to you guys on Sunday. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Go to slcpuck.shop. Keep an eye out for me. If you see me in the wild, I'll have a sticker for you. And yeah, you can take a picture with me if you want. My friend Jeff did the last game. That was a lot of fun. So we appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for listening to SLC Puck. We'll catch you soon.